Today, we're taking the entire concept of neural network architectures and breaking it down, piece by piece. Section 1. Meet the artificial neuron.
Think of a single artificial neuron, which was originally called the perceptron way back in 1958 by its inventor, Frank Rosenblatt, as our fundamental Lego block. The whole biological inspiration really just boils down to two highly digestible steps of basic arithmetic. Step 1 is a weighted sum. You're taking in inputs, which are literally just numbers, multiplying each by a specific weight, and adding a single bias number. That's it. Then step 2 passes that final sum through an activation function to get our output. It is genuinely just simple multiplication and addition.
But you know, a single Lego block isn't exactly all that smart on its own. It draws a straight line and can't even solve a basic XOR logic problem, which proves we desperately need teamwork. See, an XOR problem is a classic exclusive OR logic test, and mathematically speaking, a single neuron basically acts as a rigid linear classifier. It can only draw a perfectly straight line to separate data. So if your data requires anything even slightly more complex than a straight line to categorize it, a single neuron fails completely.
Section 2. Building the dense layer.
To fix that straight line limitation, we group these single neurons together into a team, where every single neuron receives the exact same inputs. We call this a dense or fully connected layer. For example, in a tiny dense layer with just 3 input features and 4 neurons, we only have 16 parameters to calculate. 3 inputs flowing into 4 neurons means 3 times 4, giving us 12 connection weights. Add the 4 biases for those 4 neurons, and boom, you have 16 total parameters. That is highly manageable for basically any computer.
But watch how ridiculously fast this math explodes. A dense layer with just 1,000 inputs and 1,000 outputs requires over 1,000,000 parameters. This shows exactly why AI is so compute-heavy. When every single input connects to every single output, the parameter count just multiplies exponentially. 1,000,000 weights plus 1,000 biases gives us exactly 1,000,000 parameters to calculate for just one single layer. And honestly, 1,000 inputs is practically nothing in the real world. Just think about a high-definition image with millions of pixels.
Section 3. Why deep networks win.
So, how on earth do we handle that exploding parameter problem? Well, we go deep. There's this fascinating mathematical concept called the universal approximation theorem. It basically states that a shallow network could theoretically learn to approximate any continuous function. But to actually pull that off, that single layer would have to be astronomically wide, requiring a virtually impossible number of parameters. Deep networks, on the other hand, solve the exact same problem with exponentially fewer neurons. They do this by stacking layers sequentially, allowing the network to build abstractions over time, rather than trying to memorize the whole world all at once.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the true power of deep networks. They learn hierarchically. They're piecing our Lego blocks together from simple edges to shapes to full-blown faces. Instead of one massive layer trying to map a pixel directly to a face, the first layer just looks for a basic horizontal or vertical edge. The next layer combines those edges into corners. The third layer combines corners into eyes or a nose. By stacking these operations, you dramatically reduce the total parameters needed, because each layer is beautifully recycling the hard work done by the layer right before it.
Section 4. The magic of activations.
Now, this next concept is the absolute secret sauce that makes all this layer stacking actually work. If we just used straight linear math in every layer, our whole massive Lego castle would mathematically collapse into a single flat line, rendering all that depth completely useless. Think about it. A linear function inside a linear function inside another linear function simplifies down to just one single linear function. You wouldn't be able to detect curves or shapes or anything complex. You absolutely must introduce nonlinearity between the layers to give the network its expressive power.
Let's break down the specific nonlinear functions we use to inject that necessary complexity. Notice how specialized these functions are. For outputting a simple yes or no probability, you'd use a sigmoid, which creates a nice S-curve between 0 and 1. If you're choosing between multiple categories, like trying to identify different animals, you use softmax, creating a probability distribution that always adds up to exactly 1. But for the vast, deep, hidden layers in the middle of the network, ReLU is the absolute default.
ReLU is the undisputed champion of hidden layers because it's incredibly cheap to compute and actively turns off inactive neurons, although you do have to watch out for mathematically dead neurons. ReLU stands for Rectified Linear Unit. Its formula is literally just the maximum of 0 or z. That means no complex exponentials to calculate, which saves enormous computing power. Plus, if the output is negative, ReLU just rounds it right to 0. This creates what we call sparse activation, meaning large parts of your network can just shut off and save power if they aren't needed for a specific input.